Honey, let me tell y'all what's going on. You ain't gonna believe this, but Sherri Shephard, the girl that just lost her show after she did what she did to Wendy Williams, why her ex-husband got something to say. Yeah, he's speaking out about this behind the scenes, y'all. This thing is a mess, okay? And he is talking about her and Wendy Williams, girl. Yeah, Wendy Williams. Oh my God. He was telling a lot of stuff about Sherelle and Wendy Williams and how Sherelle was like, I don't give a F about her. And whatever little relationship we have, it don't mean nothing. My success is better. And she would be more a positive role model for Black women anyway. Yeah, honey, she was giving the business. Y'all got to come watch this video, honey. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe here. And I just want to say thank y'all for all the love and all the comments y'all be showing me and stuff like that. Keep the likes up, all right? So let's see what's going on out here in these streets.
This is it. This is the last episode of Sherri. When I say, hey, family, I don't take it lightly. Because for 1 hour every day, I really felt like everybody here and at home was my family. I did. So seriously, thank you. Now, what am I going to do with all this time I have on my hands? I've been so busy, I haven't had time to focus on the important things.
The most interesting situation in this case is the fact that generally it's the surrogate that becomes attached to the child during pregnancy. In this particular case, you have Sherri, who so passionately told everybody how she's going to be the mother of another child.
I'm having a baby, so everything is going great.
Whoa. And now she's walking away from a perfectly healthy, wonderful newborn infant.
And just like that, Sherri Shephard is no longer in that daytime TV spot after spending 4 years trying to fill Wendy's lane. When this all first kicked off, Sherri defended her position, saying she and Wendy were never close friends, so she had no reason to hold back from taking the opening, even if she knew it could damage whatever connection they had. And based on what Sherri's ex-husband Lamar recently claimed, some people feel that tracks with her pattern. That is why a lot of viewers have had mixed feelings about Sherri Shephard ever since she landed her own daytime slot.
On one hand, she was living out a longtime dream of hosting daytime TV.
On the other hand, many were uneasy about how she got there in the first place. From the outside looking in, critics argued that Sherri did not land the show purely on merit. They said she positioned herself by guest hosting on Wendy Williams' show and ended up taking over Wendy's daytime seat. It was hard for viewers not to notice how closely Sherri's show seemed to mirror Wendy's, almost like she was stepping into the space Wendy left behind instead of building something completely her own.
She's not well. So there's just a lot going on in Wendy's life that this is where you need your friends, where you need your family. You need people who love you. So all I can do over here is pray for Wendy. Where's Wendy's best friend? I don't know who Wendy's friends are. We didn't run in the same circles.
According to Sherri's former husband, Lamar Sally, he has suggested that Sherri was never shy about cutting people off once they no longer fit into her life. For context, Lamar and Sherri were introduced by Niecy Nash, who was close with Sherri at the time. If you ask Sherri about how things unfolded between them, she has described the relationship as troubled from the start. She said many of her friends did not support the match, and she even claimed she had to persuade them to attend the wedding. Sherri also said she married because she felt lonely in New York and wanted company, but things reportedly became rocky fast.
On top of that, she has faced public criticism and discussions, with some online users claiming she spoke harshly about Lamar and suggested he used a young person to pressure her for money.
That whole situation only added more tension to an already messy public story, and online discussions kept circling back to how quickly the relationship seemed to fall apart. Sherri has described the marriage as unhappy from the beginning, while Lamar's side of the story has painted a very different picture, with claims and counterclaims still being debated by viewers. People also pointed out that Niecy Nash's role in introducing them made the split feel even more awkward in hindsight, since it tied several well-known names into the same drama. At the same time, some critics said the way Sherri handled the breakup seemed to reinforce the idea that she moves on fast once someone no longer fits into her life, None of that has been officially settled, though, and the details remain a mix of personal recollections, public reactions, and disputed accusations. Even so, the conversation kept following her, especially as her daytime rise and her personal life became more and more linked in people's minds.
I had consigned myself to, okay, we're going to have this baby and I'm just be unhappy for the rest of my life and have an affair. Because I said, well, how are we going to take care of this child? Because I'm working 2 jobs already. I'm doing a newlywed game. I'm doing a view. And he's like, we'll get a second nanny. How are we supposed to afford a second nanny?
Oh, I'm just supposed to work myself to death.
And then I told him, because he was an Afro writer. And I said, well, you got to get a job writing. And he was like, no, because if we have a baby, I'm staying home.
However, some online observers felt Sherri only began framing the story that way because she wanted the media to side with her. The way Sherri and Lamar ended up in that position has also been described by critics as surprisingly calculated. After they got connected, Sherri allegedly pushed for marriage while already knowing what kind of dynamic she was stepping into. Lamar had a close relationship with Sherri's son, Jeffrey, and that arrangement apparently made it easier for Sherri to move between Los Angeles and New York for work when she needed to.
Some viewers said she seemed to appreciate that he was essentially home a lot and available whenever she needed support.
Her first husband, Jeff Tarlow, had reportedly been unfaithful and later had a young person with another woman. So, according to public discussion, Sherri may have wanted a partner who would stay put and handle things at home while she stayed focused on work. Lamar fit that role. According to Lamar's claims, Sherri also wanted a young person during the marriage. She has spoken publicly about fertility struggles and about how years of using abortion as birth control later affected her.
A reproductive center, like out of the phone book. We went there and it turned out that like one of my tubes was blocked. Then they talked about surgery and then I just felt like, oh my God, what is going on with my body? Everything else is working out in my life, but somehow my body is not working according to how I thought it was supposed to work. We went to the IUI. Meanwhile, I think there was some minor little laparoscopic things they had to do to fix my little package in there.
She and Lamar went through IVF, but none of her eggs were viable. So they decided to move forward with a surrogate. And the way Sherri described choosing the surrogate, it sounded almost shockingly casual. She said, "We found a drama-free arrangement. We found a person who did not seem to have drama in their life." And she added, "We're putting in our egg and Sal's sperm, and we'll let you know how it progresses." Sherri also said, "I don't know how we're going to have this young person because I'm in my 40s and I can't even remember my first son's name, but I'm going to have another young person because I'm feeling good." According to the story being discussed, she stayed involved through the process, from the egg donation to selecting the surrogate and handling the legal paperwork, since she was paying for everything.
Once the pregnancy reached around 20 weeks, the two of them reportedly started having serious problems.
That was the point where the story started to shift even more. According to the version being discussed online, the relationship between Sherri and Lamar began breaking down around the 20-week mark, and what had already been a complicated situation quickly turned into a bigger public mess. Some viewers believed the tension had been building for a while, while others felt the whole arrangement was shaky from the start. From there, public discussion only got louder. Lamar's side of the story suggested that the pregnancy and the marriage were no longer moving in the same direction, while Sherri's side continued to frame the situation through her own personal experiences. None of the claims have been fully settled in a way that ends the debate, and that uncertainty kept people talking.
Online, some people focused on the legal and emotional pressure around the surrogate arrangement, while others looked at how fast the private problems were spilling into public view.
What made it even more sensitive was the fact that Jeffrey was already part of the family dynamic, which made every update feel more personal to observers. As the disagreement continued, people kept revisiting earlier comments, past interviews, and the different ways each side described what happened. And because Sherri's career was growing at the same time, the private drama and the public spotlight became harder to separate. That mix helped keep the conversation alive, with supporters, critics, and casual viewers all reading the situation in very different ways. According to the version being discussed online, Sherri's move was to pull back financial support and step away from both the marriage and the surrogacy arrangement. Some critics claimed she may have believed her money and public profile could influence the legal process and get her out of the agreement. But the court did not simply accept that argument, and the outcome suggested she could not walk away just because she changed her mind.
Because the child's not biologically connected to me.
Right.
So what
You like, I'm not getting involved in that.
What people don't know, because you will never see anything other than the smile. I don't let you in on my private life. So what people don't know is Every day we argue. Every day we argued about this. He wanted a baby. I did not want a baby because I have Jeffrey with special needs. I was tired.
Right.
And he was like, it ain't fair that you have a baby. Do you have a son and I don't have a son? And I mean, it literally, basically, he was like, well, if you don't have my baby, then so when somebody do this,
Right.
that mean I'm going to go.
Because he did not have the same public influence as she did, Sherri's team was said to have worked hard on the messaging, and that left her looking like the more sympathetic figure in the situation. Online, some critics argued that the attention shifted so strongly in her favor that people stopped discussing how both sides were involved in the fallout, especially when a young person was reportedly caught in the middle. With Sherri's image so carefully managed, it became easier for her to move past criticism while placing the blame elsewhere. But the way she handled Lamar, the young person drawn into the situation, and then Wendy, made some viewers question whether the upbeat, polished version she presents is more of a public image than the full story. Even now, Lamar reportedly feels Sherri treated him unfairly, and according to sources, he has described her as two-faced, saying she could act kind while working behind the scenes to get her way. Some viewers say what happened with Wendy only added to that perception, and people are starting to notice it more clearly. That's why the conversation around Sherri never really stayed in one lane.
Once people started looking back at the surrogacy situation, they also began revisiting every other moment where her public image seemed to clash with what critics say happened behind the scenes.
Some online observers argued that her polished, upbeat presentation made it easier for her to keep control of the narrative, while others felt the whole thing was being judged too harshly from the outside. And as the debate kept spreading, the focus moved from just the marriage and the legal side of the arrangement to the bigger question of how much influence celebrity status can have in situations like this. According to the version being discussed, Sherri's camp wanted the public to see her as the one trying to move forward, while Lamar's side kept pushing back on that image. The claims remain disputed, but that tension is exactly what kept viewers locked in.
Even now, people are still comparing the way different stories were told, the way emotions were framed, and the way blame seemed to land on one side more than the other.
That contrast is what made the whole situation feel so messy to so many people, because once private disagreements spill into public view, every detail gets picked apart. And in this case, the discussion only grew louder each time someone thought they had the full picture. It seemed like, once her husband no longer wanted to move forward, there was an attempt to back away from the surrogate arrangement. One online post claimed, in a time when people get called out for the smallest things, some viewers have questioned why Sherri Shephard has received a much softer response. Listening to Lamar Sally's version of events has led some people to see her differently, but the claims remain disputed online. What do you think about all of this? Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and see you on the next one.